My name is John. Let's start with the question, why design a location app? One of the most important uses of mobile devices is to let other people know exactly where we are. There are many reasons why we might want an application to do this for us. For example, we might want to know the whereabouts of a particular delivery truck, or the whereabouts of a particularly critical employee or decision maker. In this video, I'll show you how to create an app that makes use of the smartphone's GPS and automatically sends out a text message that includes information about your user's location. In the process of seeing how this app is built, you'll become acquainted with these A3 components: GPS, location to string, one-time trigger, send text, button, and label. I'll start by moving the GPS component onto the canvas. This component is in the hardware category. The components in this category make use of various hardware features on the Android phone. Next, I'll move a button component onto the default activity window. This button is in the user interface category. I'm going to open the properties box and specify the size of the button and enter a label that will appear on the button. I want the user to initiate an activity by pressing the button, so I'm going to connect state from the button component to enabled, which is an input on the GPS component. This means that the GPS on the user's phone will be enabled when the user presses the button. After the GPS is enabled, we want the app to output the location information that the GPS provides to a text message. So we're going to need the send text component, which I'll drag from the Inputs/Outputs category onto the canvas. You might at first think that I could connect the output of GPS, which is location, to the input of send text. When I try, the system returns an error in the lower left corner of the screen saying that the data types don't match, so that's not going to work. Let me move the send text component to the side for a moment. What I need to do is find a component that will translate the data that the GPS outputs into a format that can be read by the send text component. I'm going to open up the Converters category. This category contains components that translate data from one format to another. The location to string component is the one we want for this app. It'll convert the data that the GPS produces into a text string that contains the current latitude and longitude of the user. Next, I'll connect the output of GPS, which is location, to the input of the location to string component, which is also called location. I need some space on the right of the screen, so I'm going to move the canvas by clicking and dragging it. Now I could connect the location to string component directly to the send text component, as I'm doing here, and leave it at that. I highly recommend, though, that you don't do that. What happens is the GPS makes continuous reports of the phone's location. If we left it like this, the app would send continuous text messages until the user closed the app. So we don't want that to happen. What we need is a component that will ensure that the location string is output only one time with each press of the button. I'm going to reach into the miscellaneous category and pull out a component called one-time trigger. This one will do the job. I'm going to remove the connector we temporarily made between the location to string and send text components. To do that, I simply select it and press the delete key. Next, I'll connect the output of location to string to the input of one-time trigger. Next, I'll connect one-time trigger to send text. The user's current latitude and longitude will serve as the message of the text. Now I need to specify the telephone number that will receive the text. I do that by clicking on the Send Text component to reveal the Properties box in the upper right corner of the screen. Then I enter the phone number. We could stop there, but I want to add one more piece of functionality. I want the user's location to also display on their phone. To do that, I'll use the label component found in the user interface category. Label is a component that displays text on the screen of your user's phone. What I'm going to do is connect the output of the location to string component to the input of the label, which is called string. That will provide a continuous feed of the user's location from the GPS to the user's screen. Now we've completed the app. Once the user presses the button, the GPS will be enabled. The locational information is translated into a text string, which is displayed on the user's screen and transmitted one time in a text message to a specified telephone number. Here's what the app looks like on the user's phone once we've saved, compiled, downloaded, and installed it. In this video, you learned how to create an app that makes use of the mobile phone's GPS to send location information in a text message. The app makes use of 6 different components that can be used in building a variety of types of apps: GPS, location to string, one-time trigger, send text, button, and label.